Hey guys, today I'll be showing you how I installed my snorkel on my Honda CR-V. The snorkel that I decided to use for this modification was off a Mitsubishi Pajero year model 1990 to 1997. And so begins the snorkel install. So we're doing it a bit differently. I'm taking the wheel off to get access to this rather than taking the fender off, and that was a loud bang. Just to make it easier to get up to this shit. So yeah, let's see how this goes. Thanks. Drill time! Yay! I want to do the first. Let's see how bad I fuck this up.
My name's Isaac, and this is Logan Holmes Motor Repairs.
I was going to say this is jackass.
Yeah, you're fine.
That's horrifying.
Later on, new garage to the bar, a handful of cash and a brain full of stars. I'm more thrown than a food fight, feeling too right. Margarita.
Alright, so we've got all these drilled out. They're not pretty, but they fit, and honestly they're just going to be covered up and painted over. It's never going to be seen again. It doesn't affect the seal, so whatever. So this one's a bit whatever. These two are bang on. Now we just mark this out. I'm going to drill out to about a quarter from the edge, so that way we have a bit of leeway when we have a better idea of how it's going to push in. Yep. Alright, so if we open this, it all opens fully. Not even close to touching, so we're good there. Now the fit looks pretty nice, pretty nice. Still need to do some heat gun bending, but yeah, we're getting there. Nicely done. Let's see how it fits. Oh, we're getting close. Alright, so we're doing pretty well so far, surprisingly enough. We've filed the intake hole down. Most of the screws are lining up. We haven't done any of the heat gun yet. As you can see, everything's actually come together pretty well, despite our terrible measurements. So once we get a heat gun to sort of fit the fender better, we've got one last hole to drill for the bolt that secures here. It's going to be a bit of a tight one, but it should look pretty nice when we're done. So. God, that's so warm.
Asking of me what you're doing later on. I got nowhere to be. No, no, no. Yeah. Hey. Some are lovers, some are stay, some are ready to roam. Diving deeper through the days, whether rain or a storm. What you're doing later on. I got nowhere to go. No, no, no. No, no, no. No, no, no.
Alright, it's been a mission of a job. We're not done yet, but we're done for today because I'm not doing another fucking minute. Sorry for the burp. It's all bolted up. Put some rust guard over all the fucking holes I've drilled. This is the most like half sloshed. I just necked 2 beers in the last half hour. That's pretty fair though. All I've eaten today is breakfast. I don't know why I'm, yep, okay. Start again. Alright, so we've finished bolting everything in. It was a bit of a mission. Put some rust guard. I don't really care about the color because it's all hidden. This one up here is a nightmare, the top one. You're gonna have to use a spanner or a wrench for that. You can't use the socket kit, but it's looking nice and flush basically everywhere. All I have left to do is create a bracket for this to attach at the A-frame, pillar, whatever you want to fucking call it. I don't really care what it's called. All I care is that it's going to be on there. It's on there nice and tight. And it looks pretty damn good. Alright, before I start drilling, I just want to, I've already got it removed. My indicator, and I might, no, this one will be safe, it's below this line. You just want to remove the indicator so you don't accidentally drill into it. This stage of your snorkel installation is very similar to the first intake hole you had to cut into the fender. This time, we'll be cutting through into the engine bay. Take note, the metal is much thicker in this part of the car, so it will take a lot more time. I would recommend using a hole saw to cut this hole, as it will save you a lot of time. I don't have a hole saw, so what I used was a drill, a variation of drill bits, some tin snips, and a variation of metal files. When you're cutting, use caution as there's a metal seam on the opposite side. Just quickly before moving on, instead of filing down all the way, removing my jagged edges and smoothing out the cut that I had made, I actually used a rubber pinch weld around the circle that I'd cut. This saved me a lot of time, and it also means that the metal has no chance of cutting into any intake piping I make. I did not perform this step at this point in the video. I actually performed it at a later stage in the video, as it only occurred to me after I had used my temporary piping and noticed that it had been scratched and cut up a lot. Alright, so most of my intake solution hasn't really worked. We've got a bit of, I've had to improvise a bit. So I've got a bit of flex hose clamped onto a bit of PVC that goes into the airbox. Then more flex hose PVC to join it because I couldn't find a coupler. And I couldn't get anything to connect these hoses, so I'm going to clamp them down to the PVC, seal it up. Hopefully that works. That's a nice, fairly straight intake. I've got room for my second battery still. Because it's cheap PVC doesn't mean it has to look like cheap PVC. It's mostly going to be hidden anyway. Alright, so I've kind of done a terrible job. The Sikaflex is super messy, super hard to work with. Didn't come with a nozzle, so it was very hard to spread. I'm going to go over that again with some Sikaflex and hopefully tighten it up. It does seem pretty sealed. It's got Sikaflex on the inside with the PVC at both ends, and it does seal down here, but there is a gap now. I just want to close it up just to be safe. Realistically, that's never going to be an issue, but whatever. Sikaflex here is nice and airtight. I've just drilled this terrible bracket just to hold the airbox in place, stop it from smacking loose. I'm going to put another one in for that, and maybe another one at the bottom. I definitely still have space for my second battery. Like, looking at this one, that's a 490cc CCA. It's not very wide, so I could definitely fit one. It's going to be a bit tight, but I can get it in there. So I still need to get a hose clamp for the intake and Sikaflex that, but I need my car ready for tomorrow morning, so I just need to leave it for now. It is airtight. It's still got a filter there. It's still a better intake setup than what I would have had with my stock airbox, so I'm not too worried. But that's what I'll be coming back to maybe Friday, just before I leave for the weekend. I'm leaving for a trip tomorrow, so I'm trying to get everything prepped and ready. So gonna tidy up my Sikaflex today, fully seal it in at the fender. I've just put this, it's a form of, I guess, pinch weld wrap. It's got metal on the inside, so it holds its form nicely. So you'll want a pair of tin snips to cut that once you've got the length right and made sure your pipe can fit through. I've already done all that. So yeah, it just makes it a bit tidier and less chance of like cutting through whatever your intake material is. So I've just gone through and done a thicker seal with the Sikaflex. I just wanted to, you know, be extra safe. And I'm in the process of making my brackets as well. So I'm going to paint them black once they're all done and dusted. Just got some long self-tapping screws, 2 holes through, because I've got to make another join. There's another bit of metal in by the car. So basically, it's just going to be next to where the intake comes in, goes out, and bolts into another bit that bolts up to these the existing holes for it. I've already cut and made the first L bracket, and I just got to make one more, but I'm not sure on the measurements because I got to get this back in, so I'm just waiting for the Sikaflex to dry now. Waiting for this paint to dry on the bracket I made. Doesn't need to be anything pretty, it's decently thick steel. Actually, that's pretty close to dry already. Now this is just 2 L brackets, just so I can join it at the inside of the engine bay and onto the airbox. Now I've cut it short and I drilled out the hole. I'm using the factory holes in the airbox. I'll just go show you what I'm talking about. Got a glove Sikaflex to my shoe. So I'm using the spots where it used to bolt up to the other part of the airbox. So I'm using those bolts, these to go to hold it all tight. Honestly, the PVC through this holds it fairly tight, but this is just to stop it like whacking around in there. Never hurts to be safe. So I'm just painting them black. Doesn't have to be pretty, it just needs to look a little better than bare metal. But yeah, so I've made one, I got one to go. I'm not doing all 3. I didn't buy enough metal, and quite frankly it doesn't need it. It was all bolted up to plastic, so it's gonna be fine. Okay, so bracket number 1 is on. I've just drilled in one spot there. It just needs to hold it still. There's another one going there, so it's not gonna have too much movement. Yeah, it's a pretty shoddy job, but whatever, I don't really care. I'll just put a bit more Sikaflex on the bottom of this because it had a bit of a gap. This one's already been redone, so now once I get this next bracket on, it's just out here drying. Once I get that on, I'll take the wheel off, take the wheel guard off, clamp and seal it there, and then it should be done, completely done, finally. 3 days of work, quite a lot has gone into it. I don't really care that it's not too clean. Once it works, it works. It's not like the rest of this is very tidy. I mean, look at my fucking wiring there. Actually, I do want to get like a bit of metal cut and just cover that up, hide some of these wires and just make it look a bit tidier. It's a fairly cheap thing to do, so I might do that next. 2 terrible brackets are on. It's got a little bit of movement, but like well within reason. I'm perfectly okay with that. That's not coming out. That's not, yeah, we'll be all good. Right, time for the final part. Gonna seal it up here, bring the pipe back, seal it up again, and then seal it up here. Oh, this is gonna suck.
Post-sampling era, we take the things that we love and we build on them. That's just how it goes. And when we really add something significant and original and we merge our musical journey with this, then we have a chance to be
all done, all piped up, all sealed up. Plastic bag zip tied over. It's still like definitely coming from there, but it's not really choking the engine, so let's do a quick drive and see. Just try and do a takeoff. Okay, yeah, that's working. That's, yes, okay, good. Because that's fucking very choked. Foot down to the floor and, yep, okay, good. It's sealed. I can hear air coming in through a small hole, so that's no big deal. Let's turn around. And this is a straight pull. Revs up and no power. Good. Decent seal.